Good morning, Year 4, and welcome to your English for today. We're doing some writing, aren't we? Some descriptive writing. Do make sure before you start this session, though, that you have completed your guided reading, which is above this video. Watch the video, read along with me, and then have a go at your 4 Vipers questions, which today are actually in a quiz. Okay, so you can put your answers in and submit your quiz, and it will come straight through to me so I can see how you've done. So make sure you watch the video above, and then click on the link to the quiz, complete those 4 questions as carefully and as well as you can, and then make sure you come back here and do your writing. If you've already done that, then you are ready to start, so fantastic. It is Thursday the 28th of January, of course, and our learning objective today is to use techniques to create powerful descriptions. Remember yesterday's session, we looked at some of those techniques like similes, and we mapped out some ideas for similes, ideas for our observations, what we could see using lovely adjectives. We looked at actions, so powerful verbs, and we also looked down here at the sounds that we could hear as well, so using different senses. So we're going to put all of those techniques into our writing today to create a really powerful description. When we're writing 3 steps to success, we're going to think it for number 1, we're going to say it, number 2, we're going to write it, number 3. Okay, so it's really good that we connect our brain to our mouth, to our hand when we're writing, so that our ideas travel onto the page nice and clearly. Okay, let's get started, shall we? Today's task, okay, is to write just a short narrative. So a narrative is a kind of part of a story of the wolf hunt in 12 super high quality descriptive sentences. That's all we're going to be writing today, 12 sentences in total. We can all do that, we can all manage that, and we can see here that we have 4 key plot points that we're going to be writing up today. So if we've got 12 sentences that we're aiming for, there'll be 3 sentences for each of these key points. Okay, I'm going to model each section to you, and then you can pause the video and write your 3 sentences, come back again, I'll model the next section of 3 sentences, pause the video, and it will work like that, just like we did for our Egyptian pyramids writing a couple of weeks ago. Okay, let's get started, shall we? So, on this page, you can see here, we have a section of the book where this picture, this plot point comes from. So we'll read through this, okay, and then here's my example here, but I'm going to show you and talk you through the writing process on the board. So it says here, the wolf pack is ready. They set off together like 8 ghost dogs, silent and stealthy as the coming of frost. 3 ravens are flying high overhead. Okay, so what you'll need to have for today's session to be really successful is your paper, obviously, and a pencil or a pen, and make sure that you have your ideas for yesterday. If you didn't do yesterday's session, okay, then just join in anyway, listen to the ideas that I'm coming up with, think of your own, and then just get writing. It's really important that we get our ideas on the page and develop our skills as a writer. So let me stop share for a minute. I'm going to take you through this. Pens and pencils at the ready, have a look, have a watch, have a think, okay, and then join in with your own ideas as well. So in this first section here, we could see that actually the wolves were in a line, weren't they? And they were about to go searching for their prey. They're really hungry, so they need to eat. Okay, so I'm going to be using a bit of description to set the scene here. Okay, and I'm going to start off with thinking about the landscape. It was very snowy, wasn't it? And actually I'm going to describe the snow as being powdery. So I am going to go for, I'm going to think it I could have in the powdery snow, or I could describe it actually a bit more with an image, imagining that snow is covering all of the landscape, a bit like a blanket. So I could put maybe in the powdery blanket of snow. So I'm going to go for that, in the powdery blanket of snow. Think it, say it, write it. Capital letter, joint handwriting. In the powdery blanket of snow. There's my fronted adverbial. I'm going to put my comma in. So I want to describe now what the wolves are actually doing. So here's a bit of setting description, and now I need to get to some action. So what were they doing? Now you can't see here because I couldn't fit both things on, but behind my board here, I have all my ideas from yesterday. So I'm going to be referring back to them, and you'll need to do that with your own ones as well. Okay, what are they doing? They are setting off on their hunt, aren't they? So in the powdery blanket of snow, the wolf pack set off. Yeah, let's go. The wolf pack not telling my reader yet what they've set off to do. Okay, I'm going to bring that into the next sentence. Let me just check to read that this makes sense. In the powdery blanket of snow, comma, the wolf pack set off, full stop. Brilliant. I'm happy with that. That's my first sentence, describing and a bit of action. Okay, now I remember when I was coming up with my ideas from yesterday that I thought the wolves looked like they were soldiers in formation, because they, instead of just walking anywhere, they were very much walking in a line, one following the other, weren't they? So I think I can get that simile in here now. So I'm going to put like soldiers, or actually maybe like furry soldiers. That might work really nicely. So like furry soldiers, I'm going to start off with that simile here. So capital letter. And furry has two R's, otherwise it's fury, which is Angus. That wouldn't be spelled correctly. So like furry soldiers. Again, little front and verb, like furry soldiers. Now I'm thinking, what are they doing? I need to elaborate here. I haven't said why they've set off. And I think I need to include here that they're actually searching for food. So I'm going to put like furry soldiers. In fact, you know, I'm going to improve that. In formation. That's what I said earlier, wasn't it? Like furry soldiers in formation. And notice, as a writer, as you're writing, you may spot things that you can improve as you go, or you may have written a sentence and suddenly think, oh, I want to go and add in an adjective, I want to go and add in an idea, or actually, I'm going to change that. Do that as a writer. That's really good to see the ways that you can improve your work as you're going through. So, like furry soldiers in formation. That's better. Comma. Now I've already said the wolf pack, so we know who my subject is. So I'm just going to put they here, my pronoun. They, what are they doing? They hunted, they searched, they sought for their next meal. I think searched is going to work well as my verb there. They searched for their next meal. Now, because it's the meal that's going to belong to them, it's an EIR for their, belonging to them. They searched for their next meal. Full stop, end of idea. Okay, end of my sentence. Fantastic. Now we've got 3 sentences for this section. I've taken 1 for a bit of setting description and action, 2 for a bit of a simile, and again, elaborating to say exactly what they were doing. So finally, I want to bring in a sound here, and I want to really bring in the sense, the fact that they're not just a little bit hungry, they're really ravenous. Okay, so I'm going to think about, or when I'm really hungry, my stomach growls. It makes really funny noises. So I'm going to bring in this idea of their stomachs growling, that it's in the past tense because I'm writing about something that's happened. So it would be their stomachs growled with hunger. Their stomachs growled with hunger as they sniffed the icy air for a scent. Okay, that's going to work really well. So their stomachs no, it's more than one stomach. It doesn't need an apostrophe, just an S on the end. Their stomachs growled. That's really nice because I'm sure wolves could growl as well. So that sound matches really nicely. The wolves, their stomachs growled with hunger. And this is a nice opportunity to just drop in a nice conjunction here of what they're doing whilst their stomachs are growling. So I'm going to put as my little conjunction. Their stomachs growled with hunger as they sniffed the icy air for a scent. As they sniffed the icy air for a scent. Okay, that's my full stop there. I'm going to read it through, check it makes sense, and then we can set you off on your first 3 sentences. In the powdery blanket of snow, comma, the wolf pack set off. Like furry soldiers in formation, they searched for their next meal, full stop. Their stomachs growled with hunger as, extending my sentence there, as they sniffed the icy air for a scent, full stop. Fantastic. I'm really pleased with that. That's my opening. Just 3 sentences there. Okay, so let's go back to the slides. Okay, here's my example here for you. Okay, you've seen me draw it, write it out, I should say. So you've got some ideas. Pause me now and get 3 really high quality sentences written out for the start of this story to describe the wolves getting ready and searching for their prey. Okay, pause now and then we'll move on to the next section. Fantastic. Right, let's move on, shall we? So well done if you've got your first 3 sentences. I hope you're really proud of them. Let's move on. Now I'm just going to move this up here. Okay, so this one here. Okay, we are going to be looking at this section where actually the wolves discover the bull moose. Okay, and they end up crouching down and getting ready to attack. Okay, because they're desperate to eat, they're so hungry. So let's read the words from the book that we've been reading, Walk with a Wolf, so we get the idea of what's happening at this plot point, and then we'll take a little look at writing out our own ideas. There's a crash in the bushes. I can't read that because something's covering it over. I'll carry on reading to the next bit. The wolves crouch on their bellies, their hearts beating fast. There's danger in hunting. A kick from a moose can break a wolf's ribs. Charge with a wolf. The pack breaks through the bushes, swift as grey lightning with one bolt of black. Okay, fantastic. So this is getting a bit dramatic, isn't it? We've got the wolves crouching down in this part here. So we might want to use the verb crouched, and then they might pounce through the bushes because they know that the bull moose is really close. Okay, let's come back together and get ready to write our next 3 sentences. Okay, so this next section here, okay, I sort of want to show that there isn't that much time before they actually pick up the scent, because the wolves are really good at picking up scents from a long way away. So I'm actually going to start with, it didn't take long before they were close. And again, I'm not going to say what they were getting close to. I'm not going to say it didn't take long before they saw the moose. I'm not going to give it away yet. I'm going to keep a little bit of air of mystery. So it didn't take long before, bit of conjunction going on there. So before, there's my lovely conjunction, before they were close. And look, this is a lovely way of extending our sentences. Okay, so it didn't take long before they were close. Okay, I now need to introduce this idea of there being a creature. They've discovered a creature. Okay, and so I'm not going to say what it is yet or describe it yet, but I'm going to give the sound that it makes, a bit like in the text. So I'm going to put down here, what word would work well for crash? Let me go over to my sound words over here. So I've got loud panting, howling blizzard, crash in the bushes. Crash in the bushes. That's going to work really well. Okay, so crash. I think it's going to be in a forest. It might be a bit echoey. So a crash echoed through the air. Well, like that. I'm going to put that down. A crash echoed, still in past tense. So still got my ed. Echoed through the air. Now, did I have air in my last sentence? I might want to put through the forest, perhaps. Yeah, I did. I had air in my last sentence. So I won't repeat that. So a crash echoed through the... Well, I'm going to put dense forest, just to throw in a little adjective to describe there. The dense, that means really thick, lots of trees. A crash echoed through the dense forest. I'm going to pause there. I'm really happy with that. I could stop there or I could extend my sentence. I think I'm going to go, describing that those wolves crouching. So as the wolves crouched down, ready to pounce. Okay, that's my sentence. I've thought it, I've said it, I'll write it. As the wolves crouched down, ready to pounce. Full stop. Okay, right, let's think. I now want to give this impression of actually, it's that bit of drama and excitement, isn't it? And usually when we're about to do something kind of dramatic, our hearts might be beating because we're excited, we're kind of ready to go. So I am going to put down this idea. I know I had this on my ideas board yesterday, that their hearts pounded. Okay, but I might use it as an opener. So I might start with hearts pounding, comma, fronted adverbial. So hearts pounding, they leapt from the snow-covered bushes. Because again, I'm just dropping in little bits of adjectives to describe the setting. So hearts, I have thudding or pounding. Pounding works really nicely. Hearts pounding, fronted adverbial. So I'll put my little comma in here. Hearts pounding, they leapt from the snow-covered bushes. From the snow-covered, two words become one, so I need a little hyphen there. The snow-covered bushes. Okay, really happy with that. And also, I'm still keeping my reader reading. I haven't even described anything about the creature still, apart from the fact that it made a crashing sound. So let's go back to the slides. You can then pause and then write these next three sentences using the ideas from yesterday and the techniques that we're talking about. And something I haven't mentioned, but you will probably have figured out already, is that I've shown you in my example here, okay, where those techniques are. So crouched and pounding are my really powerful verbs. I've got sounds here, a crash, echoed, and then snow covered describes the bushes and what they look like. Okay, so pause now, and then we'll move on to the next part, the next three. We're halfway through. Okay, right then, let's have a little look, shall we, at the next part of our text and the next plot point. So this is the bit where actually we introduce the moose, okay, and we are going to describe how the wolves attack it and kill it by bringing it to the ground, okay. Now, I'm going to read through the text from the book and then also go through with you again. So the moose turns and sees them, but he's old and he's limping. There are scars on his legs. The wolves leap at him, biting. Hear the moose bellow. Hear the wolves panting as they drag him down. Drops of his blood fall like berries to the ground. Okay, so magnificent description there. Use of some short sentences too. So let's see if we can use those techniques to write this next section. Okay. Now I want to go straight in. I'm going to turn over here. So I know you can't see the bottom of my sheet, so here. Okay, now I'm going to keep the focus on the wolves here. I'm going to put in a little bit of description about the moose in this section here. I want the reader to know that it is a moose here, but I am going to focus the beginning of my sentence actually on what the wolves are doing. And I think I'm going to describe their teeth because I know they're biting the moose at this point here. So I think I'm going to use an opportunity for a simile. So look at my ideas for my similes here, and I'm going to think actually their teeth. Their teeth are going to be doing the biting. So I'm going to describe their teeth, and I think with their teeth being like daggers, something that's really sharp and pointy. You could have needles, you could have knives. I quite like the idea of daggers. So I'm going to start my sentence with teeth as sharp as daggers. So it's my simile. With teeth as sharp as daggers. With teeth as sharp as daggers, comma, starting with a simile there, comparing the wolves' teeth to daggers. They're going to rip and slice. With teeth as sharp as daggers, the wolves, and I could have bit into the old moose, but I might actually upgrade that. So I'm going to just write it out first. Am I going to have the wolves or maybe the pack? Because they work as a team, wolves, don't they? They hunt as a pack. So I'm going to put the pack bit into the old moose. I'm going to describe him as being old so they know he's a weak target. So the pack, I'm going to put bit, but I might come back and change that. The pack bit into the old moose. Okay. Bit or tore into. I might have tore into. Yes, I'm going to have tore into the old moose. Okay, because it's like they're tearing at him, trying to bite into him and rip his flesh. So we're there. Okay, with teeth as sharp as daggers, comma, the pack tore into the old moose. Okay, so I've described that moose as being a bit old. Okay, so here we go. What's next? sound. We need a sound, don't we? Because I'm sure that this part of our story would be quite a noisy part. If you've ever watched David Attenborough programs, or you've ever seen animals when they're hunting, they're really quiet when they sneak up on their prey, aren't they? But then the moment that they leap, all the sounds start happening. Sounds from the prey as they're trying to escape. Oh, don't mind the school bell. And sounds and growls and movements of feet scuffling around and growling and things like that as the animals are trying to capture and then kill the prey. So this is going to be quite a noisy time, so we can get our sounds in here. So make sure you're looking at your sounds. Now I've got down here on my ideas from yesterday about the wolves panting. Yeah, because it'd be a big effort. It's a big, magnificent creature. Oh, actually, I'll have magnificent creature in my writing, I think. A magnificent creature, massive creature. They're going to have to work as a team to pull it to the ground. And I think probably that moose is going to be making noises of pain. Okay, so bellowing. So let's have a little look next. I think I'm going to start with actually the magnificent creature bellowed in pain. So the magnificent creature bellowed in pain. Bellowed in pain, in maybe agony. Oh, that'd be quite a strong word, wouldn't it? So bellowed in agony. Agony is real pain. The magnificent creature bellowed in agony. And I think I'm going to extend this sentence and say that's what the moose is doing, but then I'm going to be describing what the wolves are doing. So I'm going to use while, okay, my time conjunction. While, now I'm going to bring the focus back to the wolves and what they're doing. So I'm going to put the magnificent creature bellowed in pain while the wolves dragged him to the freezing ground. While the wolves dragged him to the freezing, or maybe the frozen, to the frozen ground. Full stop. So that's one sentence, that's two sentences. This one's been extended. And I'm going to think now about, I love that image of the drops of blood. So I think I need to focus on that. Again, I know I had ideas from yesterday, drops of blood like berries we had down here, or like rubies tumbling to the ground. So I might have drops of blood. I might focus on the fact that it looks like it's staining the snow, because it's like a pure blanket of white, isn't it? So I might have this idea, drops of blood stained the crisp white snow like red raindrops. Okay, that seems to work. So drops of blood. Stained, that's quite a powerful verb, isn't it? Stained the crisp white snow. And let's bring in a simile again, one of those techniques for describing. So drops of blood stained the crisp white snow like, and I said red raindrops, that would give me some alliteration, red raindrops, but I know red isn't really a very powerful colour, and I know that blood is very dark red, so I know that a shade of red is crimson. So I'm going to put the snow like crimson raindrops, because they do fall, don't they? Drops of blood and raindrops are very similar. They make little spatters, don't they, on the ground? So drops of blood stained the crisp white snow like crimson raindrops. I've got my simile here, and I've got a little bit of describing what I can see, the crisp white snow here. Brilliant. Those are my next three sentences. I've nearly made it. 3 to go. Now it's your turn. So can you now describe this most dramatic part of our description here, where the moose is leapt at, bitten, and dragged to the ground? Okay, let's go back to those slides and have a look then at what I came up with. You can magpie as much as you like, but I would really encourage you to start building your independence and your creativity as a writer by coming up with your own ideas. So pause me now, and then we'll move on. Okay, the final bit. This is our last section, okay? Again, we'll read through the text, And we'll have a look at the picture to see what's happening in this plot point before I model the final 3 sentences for you to have a go at. So this is the last bit. They're all full up. They've eaten, they've feasted on the bull moose. Okay, and darkness is kind of coming. It's nighttime. So it says, sleep with a wolf while a blizzard is blowing. The sky is full of a million grey ice moths as the wind drives the flakes down. Backs to the gale, the wolves curl among boulders, heads tucked between hind legs and noses covered by the fur of their tails. Okay, so we've got this lovely idea, this lovely beautiful picture here of these wolves huddling together in the warm, and they're tucking their noses in and they're curling themselves up, they're nestling in to keep warm in the really frozen temperatures. Okay, so let's go through here. Let's see if we can put all 4 of these techniques here. So let's see if we can put in some powerful verbs. Let's see if we can do another simile, describe with adjectives what we can see, and also include a sound in here. Okay, let's go back. Final 3 sentences. This is exciting. Our writing is really coming together. Hopefully you can see that all now if I just adjust my board. Brilliant. Okay. Final 3 sentences. We're just thinking high quality. Don't write loads and loads. Just really focus on accuracy and language using those fantastic ideas. So I'm going to start with just describing to the reader how actually time has passed and it is beginning to get dark. And I know a really good technique is by saying that darkness crept. It wasn't just suddenly dark, like all of a sudden, but it crept. It crept, and suddenly, like when you're outside and it's about 4 o'clock in this time of year, it's sort of, you slowly start noticing that it's getting dark and you can't quite see as well. So I'm going to have this idea that darkness crept over the forest. We used forest already. Maybe, look back at yesterday, I used the word landscape, didn't I? So darkness crept over maybe the frozen landscape. Darkness crept over. Let's go, darkness crept over. Now I think I described the ground as being frozen earlier, didn't I? So darkness crept over, and I might have now instead used silent, the silent landscape, or the hushed landscape. Yeah, let's do that, the hushed landscape. Fantastic. And so, because it's getting dark, actually the wolves are going to be getting ready to go to sleep. They've got a full tummy and they're getting ready to rest now after their big hunt. So actually I'm going to use so to explain why, a cause conjunction. Darkness crept over the hushed landscape, so the wolves tucked up for the night. Okay, so I've got a lovely extended sentence there with my conjunction, describing the setting. It's quiet, it's hushed, and it's dark, and I'm indicating to the reader that it's now night time. But I want to get across the fact that there's a blizzard. So I'm going to look at my ideas here, sounds. So howling, I put howling blizzard. Maybe I can take on the challenge, start my next sentence with a conjunction and say what the wolves were doing while the blizzard was happening. So while the howling wind whipped around them, okay, that's my starter. While the howling wind whipped around them, comma, that's my little fronted verb. I've started with my time conjunction, that's good. While the howling wind whipped around them, what are the wolves doing? The pack nestled, I used that verb earlier, so they nestled. The pack nestled into, I'm going to go and describe their fur now. They're thick, comma, warm. Remember, comma between your 2 adjectives. They're thick, warm fur, full stop. Okay, that's 2 out of 3. This is my final sentence. Let's finish with a flourish. Okay, I think I'm going to describe what's happening. The wolves are not doing very much now. They're just sleeping and resting. So I'm now going to focus my last sentence on describing the setting. If there's a blizzard, very often in blizzards, obviously we have strong winds and we have snow falling. So I'm going to describe the snowflakes as they move through the air. So I might have snowflakes swirled, and I want to include a simile here. Snowflakes swirled like dancers I could have, or but more specifically, who would swirl and twirl? What kind of dancers would do that? Ballerinas. Okay, so maybe these snowflakes could be like tiny ballerinas. So snowflakes swirled through the air. Snowflakes swirled through the air. Think it, say it, write it. Like, here is my simile coming, like tiny ballerinas. Brilliant. So snowflakes swirled through the air like tiny ballerinas. Good simile and a powerful verb. How am I going to finish off? Describing the night sky. Always a beautiful one to do. So again, I'm going to extend my sentence. So use as, what's happening whilst those snowflakes are swirling through the air, as the stars twinkled in the dark sky. There we go. As the stars twinkled in the night sky. Finish with a full stop. Fantastic. Now I can check back through all of my work, read it through, make any improvements, and you can do the same once you've finished. But now, last bit, your final 3 sentences to describe the end of the hunt. You might even like to include one of your sentences, instead of describing so much of the landscape, you might want to describe the sense of fullness, or, you know, feeling warm and full up in their stomachs, the wolves settled down for the night, something like that. You choose what you focus on to describe. Let's go back to those slides so you can just see that example sentence and the techniques. Brilliant. And now you can pause me and write your very final 3 sentences. Okay, do your very best and then check through, make sure it's as good as can be. And of course, please do photograph it and send it into the email addresses. Be ready to read it out in our Zoom session later. And maybe even you can get somebody to record you reading it out loud. That really would be terrific. Okay, well done. Off you go now. Final 3 sentences. Fantastic, very well done. Okay, I know that writing is a tricky process and it's even more tricky when you're at home rather than in school, but well done if you followed the steps and you've now got your 12 super high quality sentences. Just reflect now on how you feel you've done today. Which steps do you think you've achieved? Have you been able to think, say, and then write it down? And how well do you think you have created a powerful description of this part of the book? Okay, really well done. Send your work in so we can give you feedback. And if you've got any questions or anything you're not sure on, do ask us as well. Okay, see you tomorrow.